FantasyAlarm.com on Bettor Sports Network.
Wilson bounces in the pocket, throws the ball into the end zone. Touchdown, Denver! Back in the end. Sutton, a laser strike from Russell Wilson.
Shotgun for Trevor. Inside handoff to Travis Etienne. Into the end zone. Touchdown!
Pressure, Goff throws. It is complete to Swift. Falls down, gets back up and runs inside the 10. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? To the house! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Burrow catches the shotgun snap. He's back to throw. He's going to throw it high and deep for Chase.
Oh!
Has the ball. It is a touchdown as he knocks over the pylon and holds on to the ball.
Getting you ready for NFL action with information, advice, and entertainment. The Game Day Playbook presented by FantasyAlarm.com on Bettor Sports Network.
Welcome in, everybody. Jon Impemba here with James Grande. This is the Game Day Playbook presented by Fantasy Alarm here on the Bettor Sports Network. Week 8, James, of the NFL season. Right there, you heard Broncos Radio Network, Jaguars, Lions, and Bengals Radio Network as well. Giving you some highlights leading us into today's program here. And James, we got action pretty much right off the bat here. We have a 9:30 London game yet again. Denver Broncos versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. In today's 9:30 matchup. So pretty much a full day of football taking us all the way. And you can stick with the Bettor Sports Network all day long because we have shows all day long with not only our show, the Playbook Game Day, but we also have Front Yard Fantasy coming up from 11 to 1, Bettor Zone 1 to 5, and then 5 to midnight, the Bettor Sports Network as well. So a full day of action, a lot to get to today, man. How you feeling about week 8?
Feeling good about week 8. Happy Sunday, John. Happy week 8 to everyone out there. And yeah, it's in one of those days, John, where we're not leaving the couch. We are taking a couple bathroom breaks here and there. You know, you may get a cup of water, maybe some beverages out of the fridge, but like we're just on the couch today. This is going to be a good day from football from sun up to sundown. So as Bart Scott once said, John.
So can't wait.
Can't wait. Yep,
Can't wait. So again, we do have this game here between the Denver Broncos and Jacksonville Jaguars. If you have any start-sit questions for this game, get them in now. Best way to do that, you got to cut that line. We're answering your questions on YouTube. We're answering your questions in our Fantasy Alarm Discord. But we're answering your questions first here on the Bettor Sports Network app. And it is free to download. It's free to join the show. Go to your iTunes, Google Play Store, download the app, subscribe to the show, join show, put your questions into the chat, and you'll get those questions answered first today. That's how we do it. You want to cut that line. You don't want to wait for your questions to be answered. Cut the line, join the show, download the app, get involved with James and I, even call. You can call in here. You can come on live with James and I. You don't have to even be on video if you don't want to. You can just be audio, but if you want to be on video, totally cool too. Show us what you got going on for today, and James and I can help you answer some of your start-sit questions here as we get into week 8. But like I said, 9:30 kickoff today for Denver Broncos versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So some of the top stories from this past week here, James. James Robinson traded from Jacksonville. No longer is he a part of that team. He's not part of the New York Jets. Travis Etienne's season officially engaged.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of engaged last week, too, with Robinson dealing with apparently a knee injury, right? Like, and now it doesn't seem to be an ailment at all in New York. With the practice, getting a full week of practice in this week. But 80% of the snaps for ETN last week. We know he's an elite pass catcher. I mean, the only problem has been the fumbles. He's fumbled 3 times this year. Last week against the Giants, could have maybe iced the game with one of them. But a great chase down play from Xavier McKinney in the Giants secondary to force the fumble. But 2 fumbles in back-to-back weeks. You know, maybe that's why Doug Peterson's alluding to like, oh, JaMychal Hasty's going to get extra carries. Right. I don't buy that unless ETN continues to have, fumbling issues. But last week we saw 80% of the snaps. First time all year he's played more than 55% of the snaps, 114 yards. Like the guy is absolutely electric with the ball in his hands. And again, we haven't really even seen him in space, like catching passes yet. So I'm excited to see what he can do as we move forward and he continues to get a full complement of the snaps.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there on that one as well. What are your thoughts on the Denver Broncos? Russell Wilson back this week. Obviously didn't play last week. He had Ripien in there, nearly beat the Jets there for a bit. Doing a stretching on the plane ride over so he doesn't get all cramped up. Do we think we can expect any sort of turnaround from this Broncos offense?
I mean, maybe because one, he has Wolverine blood. I mean, that's
Sure.
obviously a big key to this week, right? And then two, because he was doing the 4 hours of calisthenics on the plane, which wide receiver KJ Hamler confirmed on Twitter that he was doing this. Because I think it was obviously like, what is he just trolling us at this point?
Right.
Like, is everything he's doing, is it a troll? But KJ Hamler confirmed. I mean, look, he hasn't been mobile this year, right? He's like not getting out of the pocket. I think that's where he's been special his whole career, making plays on the move, and he's just not doing that. So like, it's a full go and he's healthy apparently, but like if this hamstring is bothering him at all, like are we concerned that, I mean, he already can't move out of the pocket or isn't moving out of the pocket. Now he can't. I don't know, man. The Jacksonville front's pretty good. I don't know if I'm riding with Broncos country this week, John. I'm a little worried about Russ and the boys out there. And if they lose and they go to 2-6, I mean, they're probably selling, right? I mean, there's a lot of chatter around Denver in general. Jacksonville favored. Never would have thought before the year started we would see Jacksonville favored against Denver, but here we are.
Yeah, no kidding. And we have a couple questions already about this. If you're getting the game in our Bettor Sports Network chat here, ETN or Pollard for today in a full PPR. Of course, Ezekiel Elliott not expected to play today. So Tony Pollard truthers out there, they have their moment. Hopefully he doesn't mess it up because he's facing the Chicago Bears, one of the worst run defenses in football today. Yeah,
I mean, great problem to have. I want to start them both, but I guess like I would go Pollard, but like, I mean, who are we starting over both of them? They're both RB1, back end RB1s this week, right? Like, I guess I'm leaning Pollard, but I want to find a way to get them both into my lineup.
Yeah, if you have a way to get it, of course, we don't know what your lineup format is. I would lean Pollard over ATN if I was picking one, though. I think that there's a better defense, at least on the Denver Broncos side, than what we think Pollard is going to be facing with the Bears today. So, that's kind of how I would go about looking at it. You mentioned, obviously, the Jacobs, ATN, and Pollard. Yeah, so, I mean, ATN is the guy on the out for me there, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Again, I know how well ATN has looked at times, and for sure, but I just think that the Dallas offense today is likely poised to put up more points. Plus the wild card of being in the London game. It feels like we have some really, really, really bad football games in London sometimes. I don't know if it's the jet lag or the times difference or whatnot, but it feels like we don't really get some great games there. You mentioned the trade deadline or trade potential there. Jerry Jeudy's been a name that's been on the block. I was pretty high on him coming into this year, and I felt maybe a better quarterback finally. And Russell Wilson was what it needed to like sort of get him over the hump. And then, of course, Wilson's basically been as bad as the quarterbacks he's had so far during his Broncos career. So if he gets moved, I think whatever team he does end up getting there to will get a drastic upgrade at the position.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what Denver's going to do? I think today is probably going to decide a lot about their future, right? Because they just got the new ownership, which is like the second richest in football right now. And they say they're in on Nathaniel Hackett. They haven't lost confidence in him. But like realistically this year, the Chiefs just went out and got Kadarius Toney just to bolster an already insane offense. And now Kadarius Toney, the Stone Cold meme is flowing everywhere. Or was it Stone Cold where he rips off the cast? Whatever.
No. It's Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash. Sorry, my apologies. WWF.
He had the fake cast. His leg wasn't actually in the cast. He had the blanket over his legs in the wheelchair, and he was fine.
Well, that's Kadarius Toney with Kansas City. So, and then like, the Chargers are still there. The Raiders have looked better. At least they've looked good offensively. They haven't figured it out defensively, but like they look like a team that is poised to click and start doing some damage. What is your realistic expectations? If you lose this week and you're Denver, I mean, you're not coming back from that. The AFC is
there were the reports that Hackett may not survive the weekend if he loses today, which would be
just keep him in London.
There was a report out during the week that his job could be on the line this weekend with how tremendously bad things have gone this season for Denver, which maybe would be one of the quickest firings and hirings. And I think even Urban Meyer lasted more than 8 weeks, right? I mean, there's a
maybe, yeah.
It would be pretty brutal there. Preston in our chat, morning Preston. He wants to know: do you start Kyler Murray or Tua today? He's on the edge about both. Kyler obviously going up against Minnesota. Tua, though, he gets that juicy matchup against Detroit. I'm a big fan of what that Dolphins offense should be putting up today.
So am I. I think Tua is the popular option. It's close, man. I'll go Tua, but it's really close.
Seasonal question. If you're playing DFS, like Kyler's your contrarian play.
Right.
If you're playing seasonal, I think Tua is just Kyler's numbers lately have tailed off a bit. I know DeAndre Hopkins being back was obviously a big boost last week, but he still only had 17 fantasy points with him. So, I like Kyler as a contrarian play in DFS because I think a lot of people are going to be looking at either Jalen Hurts or Tua in that upper tier, and he's kind of wedged in between. So, but if you're doing seasonal, Tua against Detroit, it honestly feels like a can't miss if there is one in such thing in fantasy football.
Don't you dare put that into the air, John. Don't you dare. For all the Tua lovers this week, you heard it. If you're listening this morning, John, if Tua does not hit, just go to John's Twitter at JMPemba777 and
let me know.
Tell him it's your fault. Tell him
we'll be crying together, much like I was last night with James Wiseman. We'll all be in there. I'll upset together. A couple of questions we have in our YouTube chat. One pertaining to this 9:30 start time. Christian Kirk versus Denver or DJ Moore versus the Falcons in a full PPR.
I kind of like DJ Moore with PJ Walker. I think PJ Walker is, even though he's not very good and they're not going to scheme a lot of pass attempts for him, all of the pass attempts are going to DJ Moore. So I like DJ Moore.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I would go DJ Moore again. PJ Walker again, say what you will about him. 50% of his targets passes went to DJ Moore last week. So, and they're going to run the ball a lot with Foreman, but we know I don't know what Atlanta is trying to do at this moment. Are they trying to win or lose football games? Last week, you would have thought they were trying to lose a football game the way they played from being behind 3 touchdowns and still running the ball 18 times. But now they're actually playing for the divisional lead. So, the winner of this game could actually end up being the leader in the NFC South. So think about that for a moment, and how that could turn out for such a bad division. The way Tampa Bay's played, the Saints are kind of teetering on the edge there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that one turns out here. Guys, if you want to get your questions answered ahead of the YouTube or Discord, go download the free Bettor Sports Network app. Again, it's free. It doesn't cost you any money to do, so I don't know why you wouldn't do it. And you get to skip the line, right? You get to go into our Bettor Sports Network chat. You get to download it from your iTunes or Google Play. You click join the show, and you get your questions directly sent to us there, and James and I will answer those first. Everything else, we'll get to them as we hit these games, but the immediate questions you want to answer live, you download the app, you get in, and you join the show with us today, and we'll get to those right away for you here. We're still monitoring any updates for this 9:30 game here between Denver and Jacksonville. So should any sort of news break, we'll have that for you all here. But let's get to some of the other top stories for today, James. We mentioned already Russell Wilson is returning. DeAndre Swift returning for Detroit today. We have Sharana Cobb expected to be back for Green Bay. Elijah Moore, seemingly over his little temper tantrum there in New York. He's going to be back, and Van Jefferson back for the Rams today.
Yeah, obviously, I would say the most exciting of the bunch is getting Swift back. I think a lot of people, when you take a guy late first, early second round, you hope they're not just playing 2.5 games by the time week 8 rolls around. Mm-hmm. He has not shown, the ability to stay healthy through a 1.5 years, which is unfortunate. He's been dealing with an ankle and a shoulder this year. Dealt with injuries all last year, but is he exciting when he's on the field. He's electric in the passing game. He's very good between the tackles. Really love DeAndre Swift. Very exciting for the Rams. I want to see how their offense looks with Van Jefferson. He is the guy that can stretch the field. Maybe that helps Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson even get going a little bit. I wonder how much that impacts Tyler Higbee as well.
I was thinking Ben Skoranek. Like, is
it's
he behind Ben Skoranek, or is Ben Skoranek done enough to sort of keep that wide receiver 3 job?
I mean, we'll see, right? Van Jefferson was great last year when he was on the field, and I mean, we might just see the Rams air it out if they can't get Darrell Henderson going.
Right.
They might just run a lot of 4 wide receiver sets. We'll see what the snap share is for Van Jefferson to begin with. So it might take a couple weeks for him to overtake Skoranek, but I mean, I think obviously everyone's going to be impacted other than Cooper Kupp, but exciting for Van Jefferson. And then the Elijah Moore situation, like, great that he's, big enough to come play, but like the Jets don't throw it anyway. And even when last time we did see him play, he had 1 target, right?
So I'm a little curious about the Jets offense today because no Breece Hall, right? Like they have a new running back, James Robinson. What does he know of the playbook? And I don't think they're going to run Michael Carter like they were running James Robinson there. So they could try to pass, which is why the Patriots are actually one of my favorite defenses today, especially in DFS, because of the fact that, that Jets passing attack is questionable, right? And the Patriots secondary is pretty good. The Patriots pass rush is pretty decent. So I'm curious about that. We do have some updates here. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been cleared and will play in week 8. So we kind of assumed he would be cleared because he never actually had a concussion from all reports. But he was in the concussion protocol thanks to sort of the new safety guidelines there in the NFL. So Amon-Ra St. Brown healthy, DeAndre Swift healthy. Detroit going in here pretty much full steam ahead against the Miami Dolphins today.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is great news for Jared Goff owners. Because Jared Goff has looked lost the last couple weeks, and I know he's faced off against a couple good defenses. But like we were talking about Jared Goff as a QB1 for most of the beginning part of the year, right? The beginning fourth of the year. But getting Amon-Ra St. Brown back, getting DeAndre Swift back, the offense is really only missing DJ Chark. So this should be a better matchup. Miami's secondary has been terrible. They're giving up a lot of yards. So, I love St. Brown being back. And if I'm starting him, or if I have him, I'm starting him everywhere. John, I got a question for you for the early game. Okay. So the Broncos decided not to activate Marlon Mack. So they're running with 3 running backs today: Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray, Divine Azigbo. Are any of those guys for you? Like, is Gordon or Murray startable, do you think, in seasonal?
They're flex plays in my opinion. Excuse me. Again, Melvin Gordon was lead back last week. Latavius Murray got the touchdown in the red zone carry. So, there aren't too many teams. There's only 2 teams on a bye this week. So, if you find yourself in a need for a running back or a flex or any sort of depth help, I think that both of those guys are probably playable. The fact that they gave Melvin Gordon the lead carries last week, I think puts him a little bit safer of a play. Mm-hmm. He didn't look great, but Hackett for whatever reason felt the need to have a heart-to-heart with Melvin Gordon. It was like, oh, sorry, Melvin, I hurt your feelings. Even though you're not playing well, I'll give you the lead role again.
Right.
I don't really understand that at all. So if you have them, sure, play them as a flex. Again, we don't know teams' roster composition, so sometimes you don't got any other options, and you kind of have to roll with it. Chris Smith in our YouTube channel here, he's got a question pertaining to this 9:30 game, so we'll get to it now. Sutton, Renfro, or Cooks needs to know which 2 to play. We don't know if Brandon Cooks is going to be active or not. I mean, we'll find that news out. Sutton, I think you're definitely locking in. So, assuming Cooks is in, would you play Renfro or Cooks today?
So the last report is that he's expected to play.
Sure.
Now, will he be traded mid-game? That's obviously something, all right?
They get a hug watch on right now in the NFL.
Yeah. I would go Cooks, barring he's expected to play. We already know Nico Collins is out too, so that Houston passing attack, that already limited Houston passing attack, is even more limited. So I'll go Cooks and Sutton. But obviously we have to monitor the news. I mean, I guess, I'll go Cooks. I'll go Cooks over Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, that's fine. Excuse me, I don't mind that at all. Philip Dorsett season potentially today in DFS. So Ian Dunn in chat, morning Ian. Look forward to your questions today. That's Rowdy over there. We have another one pertaining to our Jacksonville-Denver game here. Mikey Z over in YouTube wants to know, Eno Benjamin or Christian Kirk?
Eno Benjamin season is still upon us, so
yeah. Darrell Williams may come back, but I don't know if that's going to impact too much today.
Might, like, just the fact that he might come back makes me think, even if he is, it's like, I mean, he's just the change of pace guy instead of Ingram.
Yeah.
So, I'll go with Eno Benjamin.
Yep, I'm with you there as well. Some of the other stories from today, guys that are inactive. Jamar Chase, big blow there. He's expected to be, I guess, week to week. They said they didn't really put a timetable on him. They didn't put him on the IR, so they think he's probably better than 4. But no Jamar Chase. Obviously, that is your Monday night football game between Cincinnati and Cleveland. So more so for your start sit later on there. James Conner inactive again. Matt Ryan got benched/injured. Sam Ellinger making his NFL starting debut today. Will be pretty interesting there. Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry out again. I don't know why we thought these guys would be healthy this year after just never being healthy. They got off to nice starts, lasted about 2 weeks, and that was it for them. Corey Davis is out for the Jets. Chris Boswell, kicker problems maybe in Pittsburgh. Kyle Phillips is out. Jahan Dotson out again. Deebo Samuel being out is a little bit of an interesting one. I knew he had that lingering hamstring injury, but I thought maybe by the end of the week he'd be good to go. Not the case. You have Brandon Ayuk obviously stepping up there. But there's obviously an opportunity now for either McCaffrey to be used more in the passing offense or for one of those other wide receivers in San Francisco to step up there. Kenny Golladay has been inactive. It feels like all season, but he's officially inactive for today. Alan Lazard inactive. Nico Collins is out, and Chuba Hubbard is out as well. So that's what we have right now is sort of the official outs so far for today's game. If any more come through, we'll have them. And of course, you can get the full inactives there when you listen to the Front Yard Fantasy Show with from 11 to 1. Those guys will have everything for you all. So no reason to leave the Bettor Sports Network today. You go from our show to the next show to the next show and have fun along the day watching the games with everybody, reacting to the news, and getting your questions answered. And down in our chat, she has a couple questions. One of them, again, pertaining to this early game, a few of them. Sutton, Pickens, or Dubs in a PPR league today?
I'll go Sutton. I don't love the Pittsburgh passing attack today. I know Pickens has looked sharp, and I know Alan Lazard's out. I'll go.
They have Buffalo though, so
yeah, they have Buffalo. They have Buffalo, so I'll go Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, Dolchik or Knox today?
Ooh, who has the better? I mean, Dolchich has the better hair. Is he the better player?
I think I would play Dolchich.
I would probably go Dolchich. Gotta love the snap share for this man. Like, he is playing every snap. Alberto once again healthy scratch. So yeah, I think Dolchich could be a tight end 1 this week, John.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he was a tight end 3, I think, overall last week. Yep. So hopefully Wilson was watching the film, was like, oh, I should use this guy. And, consider, throw to him instead of like Eric Tomlinson and whoever everybody else they keep throwing to at the tight end position. Throw to the good tight end on your team and have some value there. And then her final question of the morning, Russ or Tua?
I mean, I know it's very appealing to use someone. It's that like has this special danger witch at a Subway. But I will go Tua over the Danger Witch.
Yeah, we're gonna go Tua here as well. George Cook over in our YouTube channel. He's got 8 minutes to choose. You do start time 8:30, 9:30 for this this Denver Jacksonville game. Jets D or Jags D today?
I kind of like the Jets defense just with the uncertainty of like how the Patriots quarterback situation looked last week.
Yeah.
And the Jets defense has looked pretty good, man.
Yeah, they're home. A lot of uncertainty with Mac Jones right now. I would probably lean the Jets D as well there. And then do you play Dolchik or Gesicki today?
I feel like Dolchik is safer. Gesicki might have more upside.
Yeah, better matchup probably for Gesicki, but he's obviously then having to compete with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, who are probably going to be open all day, right? Like it would seem unlikely that there would be too tough of coverage coming from the Detroit side of things there against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle running horizontally across the field with their speed. We had another one there that was coming up. Kirk or McLaurin? Patty wants to know.
I'll go McLaurin. He looks different with Taylor Heineke. He did last year. He did last week. I'll go McLaurin. But pretty close.
Yep, I agree with you. Guys, again, if you're just joining the show now, I see a lot more of you popping into YouTube. If you want your questions answered first, you want to cut that line, go to the iTunes, Google Play Store, download the Bettor Sports Network app. It's free. It's free to do. Absolutely free. No reason not to. Sign up, join the show, and when you join the show, your questions get put right in to our Bettor Sports chat, and we answer those questions ahead of everybody. So you want to cut that line. You don't want to wait for your questions to get answered. No reason not to download the app when it is free. I mean, it's not costing you anything. Why would you not do it, right? So we'll go ahead and make sure we get those there for you as well. James, we have the final inactives coming out for this London game here. I'm going to try to get those real quick and let everybody know. I don't think there's going to be any surprises for this London game. So we'll see what we have here in a moment. Trying to pull it up quickly.
I mean, Alberto and Marlon Mack on the Denver side, both healthy scratches, and then Jamal Agnew for Jacksonville.
Jamal Agnew, yeah. That's the other one, right? So Cam Fleming, offensive tackle, maybe one worth noting because they kind of use him at times, but mostly just defensive players. That would have some issue. I mean, Jamal Agnew, had a nice week. He had 1 week this week when they had guys ruled out. But that was about it. So not too much when it comes to this Denver Broncos Jacksonville Jaguars game for the inactives there. So stay with it. Stay with us all day though. Again, as news breaks, we'll have it all for you there as well. Some of the more top stories for today. Thoughts on Malik Willis making his NFL debut. Everybody is obviously talking about Ellinger earlier in the week. Ryan Tannehill ruled out. Now Willis has played in games, but this is his starting debut as a quarterback.
I mean, obviously there was a lot of question marks coming into the draft, considering where he played in college. And then, he gets drafted and he didn't look great in the preseason, very inaccurate. He's obviously athletic. He obviously, has kind of a big arm, but they're going to rely on Derrick Henry no matter who the quarterback is. Malik Willis in fantasy this week it's a good matchup, but it doesn't feel all that appealing. I would say he's more of a low end QB2. I don't have as much interest in him as I would a Sam Ellinger actually in DFS or in seasonal. I think Ellinger just presents a higher ceiling because they could be sure. Is Tennessee going to be trailing Houston where they have to air it out with Malik Willis versus I think Ellinger could very much be behind in a situation where they're trailing and they need to have him throw more than Willis. So Willis is fine. And, we'll see. I still think it's Ryan Tannehill's job. And I know I've seen some things on social media. It's this is Bledsoe and Brady. This is, insert quarterback that gets injured and next guy comes in and takes over the job. I don't think that's this because I think it's going to be the Derrick Henry show. But, it's exciting to see young talent get a chance, and we'll see how it goes. Not really on my radar for fantasy today, though.
Yeah, I worry. I don't know how much it's a worry. I guess it just brings a little bit more uncertainty into the mix there. With Ryan Tannehill, it's not like there was a threat to pass the football, but you knew he was a capable thrower, right? So
very good in play action, dude. Very good in the play action.
So defenses, it's not that they weren't stacking the box trying to stop Henry anyways, but Houston I don't feel like Houston has to really even worry about the pass today, right? And we talked about it. Derrick Henry, the last 3 times he's faced the Houston Texans. Now they didn't place him at all last year because he was hurt, but 2 years ago and the year before that, he ran for over 200 yards in all 3 of those games. Mind-blowing numbers, right? Houston could not stop him, right? And they still may not be able to stop him, right? But those last couple of years, there was a threat to throw the football. A.J. Brown was there. Corey Davis had that big season. They had to worry a little bit with Tannehill throwing the football. With Malik Willis, maybe they have to worry about some RPOs or some option reads and things like that happening, but that's still a running play, and if they throw 10 guys, if they're playing like a goal line set all game against, Derrick Henry here, I wonder if that potentially would scare anybody off of Henry today. Probably not, but something to at least think about.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to consider, but then you look at Houston against the run this year, and they've allowed the 5th most yards in the league, and they've only played 6 games. So they're only trailing like 3 teams that have played 7 games and the Bucks who have played 8 games at this point. They're just not going to be able to stop Derrick Henry. It's going to be another one of those games. There's a reason why he's going to be popular in DFS. There's a reason why he's been all over the Fantasy Alarm platforms literally from the start of the week until now, and everyone's platform all across the industry. So and when they get into the red zone, John, they're not gonna I don't suspect they're drawing up plays from Malik Willis. It is going to be the Derrick Henry show, and he is going to vulture all the goal line touches he can. So it's hard to trust Malik Willis when you have such a beast like Derrick Henry in the backfield.
Yeah, I said that today about Sam Ehlinger and Jonathan Taylor. There was numerous times where I was sort of like pulling my hair out because the Colts would be inside the 5, and they would let Matt Ryan throw it 3 times, and it was incomplete. They settled for a field goal. I'm like, you have Jonathan Taylor, led the league in rushing last year. Why are you not handing the football off to him when you're inside the 5-yard line? I am sure he can get 3 or 4 yards on 4 carries. I don't have to worry about that today. If they get inside the red zone or the green zone, inside the 10-yard line, I don't think they're going to be doing a bunch of play action plays.
3 carries.
Here.
3 carries.
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it today as well. And I feel the same probably for Henry and Malik Willis here. The London game is locked here, James, 9:31 now. We're looking at that kickoff between Denver and Jacksonville. We're going to be here all day, though, guys. So the Game Day Playbook runs till 11 with James and I. After that, we have pre-gaming with Front Yard Fantasy with Simon, Joey, and JL from 11 to 1. From 1 to 5, we have Bettor Zone with Tom Casale and Holden Kushner. And then 5 to midnight, we have the best of the Bettor Sports Network for today. So big day to be with the station. Stay with us all day. Get your questions answered. Enjoy the show together with everybody. When James and I get back, we're going to continue answering your start-sit questions. If you want to cut the line, perfect time to do it. Go download the app while we're at break. It's iTunes, Google Play, and we'll go ahead and get you in your questions answered first, ahead of YouTube, ahead of Discord. Get them in the Bettor Sports Network app. It's free to download. No reason not to. Download the app. Get in there. Join the show with us today. Get your questions answered. James and I get back. We'll start doing some more game breakdowns of the slates coming up. We'll get your questions answered. This is the Game Day Playbook on the Bettor Sports Network.
And Friends, presented by Mayo Media on Bettor Sports Network.
It's not like Russell Wilson's throwing for 300 yards and they're just losing, because of whatever, 31-24 or something like that. That's another thing.
Go out there, sit up in that cold stadium, and come to root on that trash. I feel bad for the Denver Bronco fans. Imagine you taking your family and you say, let's pack up the van. We going to go see the Denver Broncos in the Walmart, guy. Right. And you get out there in that altitude, right? So now the kids already complaining, Daddy, my head hurt. Daddy, I don't feel good. Daddy, I don't want to be here. The Walmart man is up there. How come he's the cut food? My head is hurting. It's cold, Daddy. Can I get a glizzy? And the glizzy costs, great value glizzy, costs $17. Because you got to pay $40 to $45 million for the quarterback who stinks. That's a bad fan experience right now.
Let me give you my Honey Nut Cheerios story real quick.
Yes, tell me.
I'm at the grocery store, and I got to buy Cinnamon Toast Crunch. They eat here. And there's a thing, like buy 2, get 2 free. So it's like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Lucky Charms, Cheerios, whatever. So I get 2 Cinnamon Toast Crunches, and there's a Cheerios. I'm let's check my 4th one. And I noticed on the Honey Nut Cheerios, there's a free toy inside. And it's like all the retro 90s commercial pictures. So no one eats Honey Nut Cheerios. I'm going to eat a box of Honey Nut Cheerios. Like, come on, just give me my toy. So, and then I'm taking the Cinnamon Toast Crunches off the shelf. And I noticed the ones behind it have the retro toy as well. We'll have 3 toys in this home.
I still got my adult Happy Meal toys, which they're actually going crazy on eBay right now. You know?
Are they really?
Yeah. Well,
how did we miss?
Listen, people. There's some of them that's listed for $300,000. But yeah, you can like Fry Guy. You can get $25 for Fry Guy right now.
Oh, that's not really going wild. I thought like $300.
No, I think it will soon though. I'm gonna hold on. I got Fry Guy and Hamburglar, so I'm gonna hold on to them.
Those haters can't stand us. Left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders. Commanders. We fight for RDC. Who are we? The Commanders. Commanders. Left hand up. Who are we?
Welcome back, everybody. The Gameday Playbook presented by the Bettor Sports Network. That is the Commanders team song, James. What did we just listen to here?
I don't think it's the team song. I think a bunch of Commanders fans just made a song about the team to get the fans riled up because they haven't had much to be riled up about. I think over the at least in a good way for the last few years. So
Sure.
I think they're rallying the troops. They're rallying the fans. And left hand up. We are the Commanders, as they say.
Yeah, something like that. Well, today the Commanders are facing the Colts. As we mentioned, the Colts are going with Sam Ehlinger today as their starting quarterback. Those not familiar with the work of Sam Ehlinger, very mobile quarterback.
Yep.
He had over 700-yard rushing season during his junior year at Texas. He had, almost 40 rushing touchdowns during his college career or something like that. So a very mobile quarterback there. That the Commanders will now have to be dealing with. Obviously, we're expecting a lot of, RPOs likely there, a lot of handoffs to Jonathan Taylor. Tough blow if you invested an early draft pick in Michael Pittman, I think, this year. Expecting Matt Ryan, now getting Sam Ehlinger for the remainder of the season, at least for now. Maybe Nick Foles finds his way into the starting lineup at some point if Ehlinger gets hurt or is not playing well. I mean, there's no real commitment to Ehlinger here. I think he was like an undrafted or a 6th-round pick or something like that. So not a lot of capital investment for him. For the Commander side, Jahan Dotson, as we mentioned, is already out. Logan Thomas, though, expected to come back. He's missed a handful of weeks. A really good price on DraftKings today is only $3,000 at the tight end position. Taylor Heineke is your quarterback there. Heineke could potentially have some nice connection there with Logan Thomas. So what are your thoughts on this Commanders-Colts matchup?
The Vegas total says it all. Not a lot of offense projected here. I think it's also important. It's weird because neither defense is good either. So like, what's going to give? Obviously, it's interesting that Logan Thomas is returning in his 4 weeks that he played. He played a heavy snap share. We know he's a threat in the red zone. We've seen him be a tight end one, finish as a tight end one when he's been healthy. But obviously, the injuries have piled up the last couple seasons. We'll see what his connection looks like, especially if Dotson and Brown are both out. I think there's definitely a role for him here. The Ehlinger thing is interesting to me because going from Matt Ryan to Ehlinger, who like one is just can't move, like has cement for feet, and one is extremely mobile. Like, how fast were the Colts able to switch around the playbook and adjust things where needed and introduce the RPO type looks that Ehlinger needs to probably succeed. At least we've seen all these young quarterbacks, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, take the next step this year, or lately, at least in Justin Fields' case, with that in the playbook and getting Ehlinger on the outside in play action and stuff. So it's going to be very interesting to see the Colts offensive scheme with him compared to Ryan, because they can't block. Ryan has been getting crushed. He had a million fumbles, and that's obviously why, including the turnovers just in general, why he was benched. But like, if Ehlinger can get out of the pocket and avoid pressure, maybe the Colts offense can move the ball a little bit more. But it all starts with Jonathan Taylor. They had to sit down and be like, why did we only give Jonathan Taylor 10 carries last week? Like, I know he was involved in the passing game heavily, and that was really nice to see from a fantasy perspective, because he, we wonder why he's not involved more there. I know it's like, oh, well, they have Nyheim Hines. Well, yeah, they also have Jonathan Taylor, who can shoulder a 3, down workload. But the game starts and ends with Jonathan Taylor. He needs 20 plus touches, and I shouldn't even say touches. He needs 20 plus carries, right? So love Jonathan Taylor today. Very indifferent on Ehlinger. I think there's a very big split in the DFS community, John. I think Ellinger is a really contrarian DFS play, and I think the Commanders' defense is a really popular play in DFS. So what's going to give? I'm currently on the side of the Commanders' defense. We are the Commanders today, as left hand up, as the song let us in from break. But it's a lot of question marks surrounding this game.
Heavy T in our chat wants to know Packers defense against Buffalo or the Commanders against the Colts. I think you probably answered that one there.
I think left hand up, we are the Commanders.
Plus, I never want to play a defense against the Buffalo Bills.
No, never.
Kate and the Colts fan over on YouTube, I guess maybe I'll take his word for it here. He said in a press conference, Michael Pittman said he hasn't caught a ball from Ellinger since last season. Which would make sense because why would Michael Pittman be running with the third string quarterback on your roster?
True.
So, is there going to be some timing and chemistry issues? Probably. It's probably why in the game day in our NFL playbook that we have over at Fantasy Slam, Howard Bender writes up in the dartboard. He has, I think it's like Mike Stronach or something like that. He's like this third string, fourth string wide receiver. That I guess Ellinger has likely been practicing with in his mind. He has him as a mid-price dart throw there for today, thinking that maybe they'll have that connection. Better Boss in chat, Matt, how are we doing this morning? He says Shaq Leonard's returning can change their entire Colts defense. I don't disagree with you there. There's some reports out there that he'll be on a limited snap count, but who knows, right? Those guys get out there, they start feeling good, and they play a little bit more. He also said that he's playing Willis over Stafford today. What are your thoughts on Stafford coming out of a bye at home against a 49ers defense that has really owned that Rams team over the last couple of seasons?
Yeah, I guess, I took a lot of shots at Malik Willis last segment, but like it is feasible to play him over Stafford. I mean, the Niners are a top 5 defense against the pass this year. They're not allowing, I mean, granted, they haven't looked the same. They lost their top cover corner. It's been a tough sledding the last couple weeks for the Niners. But Stafford has been bad. I've dropped him in multiple leagues, in a league that you and I are in, John, and he just hasn't looked great. Now, maybe that will change with Van Jefferson returning. It does give them, that vertical presence that I just don't think they've had. Like everything that Cooper Kupp is running is underneath. Allen Robinson can't stretch the field. Ben Skowronek can't stretch the field quite like Van Jefferson. And Tyler Higbee, we know, is a possession guy. So maybe things change with Van Jefferson. There's a different dynamic. But I'm probably starting Malik Willis over Stafford, just given the PTSD Stafford's given us this year. And also to the Shaq Leonard point, John, I saw there was a thing. He's gone back and was liking on his Twitter, liking all these crap talking fans about him, and just fuel to the fire type of thing, just scrolling through his name on Twitter, clearly what can I do to get myself up for this game? Just 100 likes. If you go to his Twitter, it's just hate tweet after hate tweet after hate, like. I think he's going to be a little motivated today. It's a good point that he's back, but as you mentioned, he is apparently going to be on a pitch count. He's been in the lineup. He's been out of the lineup. He's been in the lineup.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I think the Colts want him to stay healthy, get him through a game, and then up the snap share moving forward.
Big play in the game over in London, Denver Broncos versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Russell Wilson picked early in this one, just through the Cortland Sutton when he was not even close to being open. It was about to be triple coverage, but he underthrew him, and he got picked off there. We're early in the first quarter here still. That was going to be the start of their second drive. So, not big there. And yeah, listen, you're talking crap about the Rams. Al in chat. Good morning, Al. How we doing? He's got to play Stafford. I agree. I'm going to trust Stafford over Malik Willis here. Just too much unknown in the rookie quarterback who, again, hasn't really looked too great so far. So I'm going to go ahead and start Stafford there. AC in our YouTube chat is I keep starting Russell Wilson because I believe, but damn, yeah, I think a lot of people are in the same boat here. Broncos country, left, right. I mean, I think that bus has a flat tire by now. I don't know what exactly they're riding on. It's like a bike with square wheels, maybe. It's not things aren't really working out well in Denver. After that interception, Hackett looked like a man who just lost his job. there's a lot, there's a lot probably going on in that situation there. So that's
is he going to be in the next Ted Lasso, John? Is he, if they leave him in London, like maybe he's in next season of Ted Lasso, like perfect. I
don't know what
football coach going to soccer, right? I mean, no spoiler alerts here if you haven't seen Ted Lasso.
I said I've never seen Ted Lasso. So
I'm sorry.
You're throwing a whole bunch of stuff at me that I got nothing to come back on.
Well, I'm just saying it fits fits the storyline perfect. Like Nathaniel Hackett, if he does, he could turn this negative if he gets fired, stay in London, turn it into a positive. I know that the cast was at the game for the Giants' victory against the Packers a couple weeks ago. So I'm just saying, like maybe, maybe there's a future for Nathaniel Hackett in soccer or football or whatever you call it.
We'll see. We'll see. Let's get to some more games, and we'll get to your questions again here, guys. Again, we don't want to leave you hanging. It's week 8 of the fantasy football season. Let's run through a few of these here, James. We'll get them out of the way, and we'll start breaking down some more games here. Let's see. We did that. AJ Brown, T. Higgins, or Chris Olave in a PPR. Adam Gosa wants to know over on YouTube.
I'm not benching AJ Brown.
Yeah. So Higgins or Olave? You can only start once. So you're going AJ Brown. Okay. Higgins.
Well, I guess Higgins, no Jamar Chase. It's close. We just saw 2 weeks ago, like Josh Allen threw for like a gajillion yards against Pittsburgh. It's close. You break the tie if there was.
I think Jalen Hurts is running a lot today against Pittsburgh. So give me Higgins there. Let's see. That was a trade question. Kirk or McLaurin? That one already answered that one for Patty. More trade questions. Looking for some start sits, everybody. We'll get to your trade questions at the end of the show. Let's see. A lot of people have trade questions. I don't want to do your APPR. 8-man PPR, need a tight end. He has Pitts and Schultz. Waiver wire has Hurst. Any interest in Hurst over Pitts and Schultz today?
Probably. Yeah. I think Hayden Hurst is like a very safe tight end 1 this week, and the other 2 are question. One with a PCL that continues to pop up, and Kyle Pitts. Maybe we see Kyle Pitts get some rushing attempts this week, right? That's what Arthur Smith seemingly. Everyone's running the ball, so maybe Kyle Pitts gets some runs. No, I think it's Hayden Hurst over both.
Yep, I'm with you there as well. AC says, I thought I was a genius drafting Sutton and Wilson in a quote-unquote top offense. Yeah, there's a lot of you out there. I tweeted out before the season started, I was actually at a restaurant where a live draft was going on, and a guy drafted both Judy and Sutton. And he was super excited about it. He said, everybody thinks they're going to have me until the 4 p.m. game start, and then the Broncos game start, and I jump ahead of them. Well, that hasn't been the case. I left before I found out if he drafted Russell Wilson or not to complete the trifecta. Again, I don't live in Denver. I live just outside Boston. So this guy was just taking Broncos country, and it's not working out for him there. Working grind in chat. Good morning. Claypool, Rondale, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Van Jefferson, or Ronnie Rivers. What are your thoughts there?
Ronnie.
I don't know what Ronnie Rivers is. So I got nothing there.
Rondale. I like that game. That's the best game environment. I'll go Rondale. I know, we're going to get a better implementation of Robbie Anderson this week, but like how much? I'll go Rondale more. We don't know the Van Jefferson snap share.
Yeah.
Claypool on the trade block, like doesn't want to be there. I don't like that passing attack, so I'll go Rondale more.
I'm going Donovan Peoples-Jones. I am a bit of a DPJ truther over the last couple of weeks. Targets have been there. If you just look at the numbers, right? He's been very productive in that offense. No David Njoku this week, and they're going up against a Bengals team where I would imagine they'll throw the football a lot more if they're going to be trailing. We're not going to get this Atlanta Hawks style Atlanta Falcons style of football. They might be better off if they played like the Atlanta Hawks, truthfully. Trae Young out there just shooting threes everywhere. So anyway, I think that if Cleveland is down in this game like Atlanta was, they're going to throw a ton with Brissett. And I think Peoples-Jones has a really good opportunity here. So I'm going Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's been one of my favorite guys in DFS over the last handful of weeks because he's like $4,000. Nobody ever plays him, and yet he's giving you 10-plus fantasy points. So if you're in a PPR league, I'm going to go Donovan Peoples-Jones this week, especially with no Njoku.
Yeah, they being Cleveland need to keep the ball away from Cincinnati. as much as they can. I think we're going to get a very, very heavy dose of Nick Chubb here. I like Donovan Peoples-Jones, and I think that, he has been productive. I just kind of like the game environment better. And we talked about this before we got on air. Like, I think Arizona, there's not a lot of great game environments this week, right? When you go to Vegas, there's not a lot of games, even over 45. This is one of in the Arizona-Minnesota game, I think this is one of the most likely to give you 50-plus points. I think Arizona's offense, another week with DeAndre Hopkins on the field, another week to implement Robbie Anderson stretching the field. And I think that could lead to Rondale Moore being peppered with targets underneath, especially if Minnesota does get out to an early lead. They are big favorites on the money line, 3.5-point favorites at home. I think Arizona's offense could come out looking very good here. So I'll go Moore, but I completely understand your Donovan Peoples-Jones play as well.
Finally have a score in this Denver-Jacksonville game. Any coincidence, James, that our guy Andrew Cooper is in Europe for his honeymoon, and Evan Ingram is in London playing a football game. First touchdown of the season for Evan Ingram. Jacksonville's up 7-0.
This is literally like Coop is having he couldn't even care. He could care less about his honeymoon right now. Evan Ingram's on the board for the first time. I mean, if you look at Coop's timeline, if anyone goes over to Coupe Fiasco on Twitter, there are 10 tweets per day about Evan Ingram. This is a dream come true for Coop. Nothing. This is his best wedding gift. Like, I'm sure you got him something nice, John. This trumps that. Like, he's going to be like, John, thanks for the gift. But I mean, Evan Ingram got me a touchdown. That's all that really matters. And you know what, though?
Yeah.
To Coop's point, Evan Ingram has looked good over the last few weeks. And he's looked good at times this season. I think, being a Giants fan, I have been very disappointed in Evan Ingram throughout the years. I understand that there's always been talent there. I understand that he's generally he was the most athletic person on the field a lot of the time when he was in New York. But you know what? If Trevor Lawrence continues this evolution, Evan Ingram could be really good for him. Good for Evan Ingram. I hope he continues to do this like he did. He was good last week. He's been good, obviously, with a touchdown, his first touchdown of the year this week. Good for Evan Ingram. Good for Coop. And bad for all the Evan Ingram haters like myself because, I can't say anything anymore. He continues to produce.
Yep, I agree with you there. James, we're going to go take a quick break here. When we get back, we're going to continue to go down through these start sits. We're going to break down some more of the games coming through, see if we have any more scores or turnovers in this London game when we get back. So this is the Game Day Playbook presented by Fantasy Alarm on the Bettor Sports Network. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Bettor Sports Network.
By the way, if you are a commissioner out there, if someone does not pay, that's on you at the end of the day. It sucks. That's why you have to get the money early, because if they don't pay, it's on you. You don't change the prize. A winner shouldn't be impacted because unfortunately you messed up as commissioner. And I've been caught with this before. I've made this mistake. It sucks, and I had to go out of pocket for it. You learn that maybe some of your friends should not be in that league. But Roan, we see it all the time with commissioner issues, and I can't stress it enough that when it comes down to league payment, it's on the commissioner if they don't have everybody's entry fee and someone decides to ghost them.
Yeah, I had to collect 36 entry fees this year. All of them were collected except one. And it was one of my friends who said he was going to pay the second. I forgot to remind him. He might even be listening, but I know he's going to pay. If not, I know where he lives. But nah, he'll pay.
Big brother Adam Rodas over here.
And even the guy that I've talked about before that usually always pays me at the end, he actually paid on time this time. He usually is like, I'll pay you on Friday, and then it doesn't come, and then it's 4 months later. And he always winds up paying. That's why I don't really get upset. But you've seen my emails. I don't play around. Like, no. This is the date. This is the date. You get it in by then. And I always, too, I'm like, the draft order will be determined when everyone pays.
Right.
So don't hit me up about the draft order. Once everyone pays, then the draft order will be done. And anyone who's been in this league, now Festi can't attest to this because he's never won money in my league, but the people who do win, they get it right away. Usually the next day or two. Just make sure the scoring, especially with football, no scoring changes, as long as it's not like a point victory, half a point, and then they'll get the money right away.
What about 2 points?
Yeah, wait it out just in case something crazy happens. I guess I don't wait till Thursday when the official scoring happens.
Yeah, man. A championship that I was in years ago got reversed, and I ended up winning on a Thursday stat correction.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
You hope
it doesn't come down to that. If you're on the better end of that, it's great. But man, imagine thinking you won, you got the money, and then it changes. That's tough.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
Welcome back in for the Gameday playbook here, presented by Fantasy. Jon Impemba with James Grande. James, week 8's happening live. Again, we got a 7-0 score right now in this Denver Broncos-Jacksonville Jaguars game. Looks like they're punting again. Denver, this offense is doing absolutely nothing. Russell Wilson just 2 for 4 for 19 yards. Melvin Gordon, 2 carries for 6 yards. Just leave the whole team there. Relegate them to is the European Football League still going on? I'm not even sure. Probably not, right? So gotta figure out what's going on there. But we have a lot to get to. We still got plenty of games to break down. We got your questions going on here as well. Work and Grind in our chat has one here. Romeo Dubs or DPJ in a PPR league.
I just can't get behind receivers in that against Buffalo. So I'll go DPJ. I'll hop on board with your DPJ call, John. It's close, but I'll go DPJ for you.
Sure. Evan Gittleman over on our YouTube channel. Pick 2.5 PPR. Michael Carter, Najee Harris, DJ Moore, Eno Benjamin.
Eno Benjamin, and who was the first one?
Michael Carter.
And I'll go. What do you think of that situation for the Jets? Like Carter's obviously, James Robinson.
How much of the playbook can James Robinson know at the moment? So
in 1 week, right? Like it's very hard. I'll go Eno Benjamin and Carter in half PPR.
Okay. Avery Chapman wants to know start 2, Najee Harris, Deonta Foreman, and Terry McLaurin.
Foreman and McLaurin.
And then Logan wants to know Eagles defense or 49ers defense today.
I'll go with the Philly.
Yeah, Philly defense for me as well. Work and Grind has another one. Alec Pierce or DPJ. I'm going DPJ.
Yep, DPJ for sure.
All right, let's get to more of these game breakdowns. We have the Bears versus the Cowboys. Cowboys are giving 9.5. It's a 42.5 game total. Ezekiel Elliott not expected to play. I don't think he's officially out. I think we're just getting word that he's going to be out. Tony Pollard. Thoughts here on Tony Pollard? What are the expectations you have for him? Is he a true RB1 today?
Yeah, I think he's a lower end RB1, but I would slot him in the RB1 range. Look, he's been getting most of the pass work for what it's worth. There hasn't been a lot for the running backs this year. Like Zeke has been non-existent in the passing game. But Pollard's looked very explosive. He looked good between the tackles as well last week. And it's really been smooth sailing for him when he's touched the football. Now we're going to get a full workload out of Pollard. I do think it's a very good matchup against the Bears. What's your expectation for touches, John? He hasn't touched the ball more than 13 times on the ground this year. He's had a couple double-digit carry outings, but could we see Tony Pollard? If Tony Pollard touches the ball 20 times today, he's an RB1.
Yeah.
Which I think is very reasonable to think. We just haven't seen it, right? We haven't seen him carry that workload this year, but 20 touches, I think, is a reasonable expectation, especially in a 9.5 point spread where Dallas should be leading. We've seen the Bears upset some teams. Sorry, John, I know sensitive subject, but we've seen the Bears upset team this past week. So anything is possible, but I think Pollard should be on the RB1 spectrum there.
Yep, I'm with you there as well. Dak Prescott, second game back, looked a little rusty last week. Michael Gallup had no catches last week for 0 yards and 0 fantasy points for everybody. but they said they want to maybe make an effort to get him more involved earlier in game plan. So we'll see if Gallup can sort of bounce back. And then Dalton Schultz is questionable all week with a knee. Got some limited practice sessions in, and he's going to be expected to be active for this game for Dallas. For the Bears side of things, I actually have some Darnell Mooney in my DFS lineups today. The one thing we always talk about with Diggs is that he cheats a lot. He tries to go for the interception, which means he also gives us some pretty big plays. And Darnell Mooney, if you look at his game logs here, he's good for like a 30-plus yard catch a game. So as bad as we've talked about this Bears passing offense, it's opening up a little bit more. And Mooney's been making some big plays because of it.
I mean, yeah, it's obviously scary using players against Trayvon Diggs because he is such a ball hawk. But as you mentioned, like, he does allow big plays because he's always going for interceptions. He's always trying to make plays, and he made some very good looking. He made a very good looking interception against Jared Goff. But Mooney has obviously been the wide receiver one, even though we haven't really seen much from wide receivers in Chicago. 80+% snaps every week. He's now had 5 or more targets in 5 straight games, including 12 against Washington a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I think Mooney is interesting. We just need a touchdown. Like, give us a touchdown to really make us feel better about what's going on, because the snaps are there, the targets are there, the big playability is there. Just one touchdown, right? Like, let's start with one, and then we'll move on from there. But yeah, I do think Mooney is a solid flex play with some GPP appeal, just because of the big play nature of his game.
Yeah, I do the player props prize pick video over on Fantasy Alarm today. One of those plays is the Dallas Cowboys over 3.5 sacks. Justin Fields has been sacked the most times in the NFL this season. Dallas Cowboys lead the league in sacks. So he's been sacked at least 4 times in 4 of the last 5 games. So with that defense, so the one thing we talk about with Fields is his speed. It's his escapability. It's ability to move around the pockets. Michael Parsons is an absolute freak of nature. He no man that big should be that fast. So like, Fields isn't going to be able to run away from him. Like, didn't Parsons run like a 4.3? Like he's just
he's a sick individual
of an individual. So yeah, I'm all in on this game here. What are your thoughts on the spread here, though? Dallas giving 9.5 points. Is that too much for you, or are you taking the points?
I mean, we saw last week. I think the Bears are improving. I think, as you know, Justin Fields asked them to like open up the playbook. It's actually, I even see on FanDuel Sportsbook, it's at 10 right now, John. Yeah. So it's actually, you know, people are betting the Cowboys here.
There was a betting trend I saw on social media again. So who knows? Twitter sometimes not always true, but there was a betting trend that this season, when a spread was 42 or less, or the total was 42 or less, and the spread was 10, or was like 8 or more, or 10 or more, or whatever it is, like, you always took the team getting the points, because like that few of points expected to be scored, odds are the games end up being played a lot closer than people anticipate. So obviously they're saying that Dallas is going to blow out the Bears in this scenario, but you know, that doesn't always end up playing through. So you talked about the Cowboys give up big plays on defense at times. All it takes is 1 or 2 of those, and this is a 24-14 game, and now the spread's being covered, right? So something to pay attention to there with Chicago. I, along with probably most of the public, would lean Dallas in this one, but we've been surprised before. So like you said, maybe the Bears are getting it together. Their running game's pretty strong with Herbert and Montgomery. You know, their defense, even though they did just trade Quinn, had been strong. So we'll see what happens with that one. Patriots versus Jets. The Jets are getting 2.5. It's a 39.5 game total. Mac Jones is going to start today for New England. What are your thoughts on the Jets, though, being home underdogs to the Patriots? Is that a little disrespect to these New York teams, or what?
Yeah, I mean, that's just like the Bill Belichick rub, right? Like, the Jets are 5-2, and it's moved to 3. Like, why are the Jets 3-point dogs at home? They're 5-2. The Patriots are coming off an embarrassing loss against the Bears. And I understand, like, losing Breece Hall is big, but like, there's a lot of unanswered questions for the Patriots right now.
Yeah.
What are they going to, like, Ramondre Stevenson is obviously the better running back, but they still want Damian Harris to be involved. What is going to be the quarterback situation? Can Mac figure it out from last week, and Bill still is like being weird about the quarterback position every time he's asked. Like, why is that the case? Like, I understand. Like, even Bailey Zappi was asked, right? At practice, he's like, I didn't know last week. And like, why do your quarterbacks not know? I think there's a lot of unpatriot-like things happening for the Patriots right now that makes me want to take the Jets +3, makes me believe the Jets win this game outright at home. Like, and I get it. The Jets lost their starting tackle. Like, Elijah Vera-Tucker, very good. Lost their starting running back. Michael Carter is very serviceable. I think James Robinson, his package will be nice. Ty Johnson, we know, is a good pass catcher out of the backfield. I think there's a lot to like about the Jets this year, and it's an exciting time, and vice versa. Like, it's speaking to a Patriots fan, like, right? I mean, it's a little worrisome in New England right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot more questions than they've ever had to face in the past. I will say, the one thing for New England and their defense has been very good this season. There are 2 games where they struggled where against mobile quarterbacks and Lamar Jackson and Fields. They were able to extend plays, get out of the pocket, allow time for guys to get open, and could have extend those drives with their legs. I don't see Wilson doing that today, and therefore I think Matthew Judon's among the league leaders in sacks. That's a guy that I think could have himself a big day. They still have really good quarterbacks. Both Jack Jones and John Jones are, according to PFF, are among the highest rated cornerbacks in football. So I do think the offense is probably the biggest question on this New England side of the football. I think their receivers, now that they're healthy, are kind of interesting with Jacoby Myers coming back. Devontae Parker's actually making some big plays, and Tyquan Thornton's been out there. He's been playing a lot of snaps. We know the speed that he has in the type of player that he could be. So, going out there today, if they kind of let Mac know, like, hey, you're not on a short leash. This isn't a scenario where you make a mistake or pulling you, and let him get comfortable and understanding that this is his job. Then I think that, it gives them a little bit more of an opportunity, maybe some more comfortability for Mac Jones here. But I'm just surprised that the Jets are home underdogs. That's really, the thing for me there as well. So next game that we got on the docket here, we have the Dolphins versus the Lions. The Lions getting 4 at home. 51.5 game total. This one's going to be the game everybody's playing over in DFS today for a lot of good reasons, right? Like, Amon-Ra St. Brown is back. DeAndre Swift is back. Hawkinson's there. Reynolds is there, all for the Lions. On the other side of that game, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert had a big game last week. Tua is healthy. Mike Gesicki even found the end zone. So a lot of offensive firepower on both of these sides of the team of all. Neither of the team play great defense. So a lot of points are expected to be scored. I feel like in the DFS community, especially ever since that Seattle-Detroit game happened where like 93 points are scored, the full game stack took down the Millie Maker that everybody's like, we got a game stack the Lions. Like, that's where all the points are going to be today. And, we still have to remember the Lions are the Lions. Like, Jared Goff's not a great quarterback, and, they're not a great team. So, it feels like they've been a little bit more of a letdown over the last couple of weeks for whoever's playing them. But maybe this will be a turnaround spot for both teams here.
I mean, I think it's definitely a turnaround spot given the fact that the Lions are getting their 2 most explosive offensive weapons back. Like, we're getting DeAndre Swift back. We're getting Amon-Ra St. Brown back. And those are 2 big weapons for Goff, and that's what helped him get off to such a fast start this year. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown had slate-breaking performances to start the year. And so did Swift. And, both teams bottom 10 against quarterbacks in terms of fantasy points allowed, or top 10 rather, against fantasy points allowed against quarterbacks. Biggest total on the board by a pretty sizable margin. Maybe we do have to factor in the Lions are home. Like, that benefits, that keeps this spread a little closer than I think expected. But yeah, if you're playing DFS, I mean, Tua is going to be the most popular quarterback. He's probably where a lot of people start their cash game builds. A lot of people are going to game stack this. I toyed with the idea of game stacking it, playing both Miami receivers, playing one with Gesicki, with St. Brown, with Swift. Like, there's a lot of routes you can go in this game, and I think they're all viable in fantasy. Like, no, I'm not just starting Gesicki in seasonal because it's a great game environment. There needs to be a clear-cut reason as to why. But in DFS, I mean, you can start anybody and everything. I think, truthfully, I think Jared Goff is an interesting contrarian play, John, in this game. Like, to Tua, because you could still get plenty of Miami. Like, you can play Raheem Mostert if you believe in that type of game stack, because, likely scenario, Miami's leading. They lean on Mostert heavily, and you bring it back with a Goff and a St. Brown and a TJ Hawkinson. So I think that's more of a contrarian route if you want to play that aspect of the game, because as we both mentioned, the Miami side is going to be extremely popular. You're not going to trick anyone in your DFS builds with using
the day that Game Sack won the Millie Maker, both quarterbacks were actually under rostered. And that was kind of everybody played the receivers and the skill position players, and then it ended up being a low owned quarterbacks, and they both popped up there. So we almost just had our second Evan Ingram touchdown, James. That's pretty wild. They got 1st and goal on the 1 right now for Jacksonville. So a couple of questions here. We'll get to them here. Stephen Grise over in YouTube wants to know, he's looking for thoughts on his flex spot. George Pickens or Mr. Wan'Dale Robinson in a full PPR?
So I think this is interesting because the weather in Seattle is not great, but it looks like it's going to be fine. It's going to just be another day in Seattle. Robinson's really hard not to like moving forward, right? In full point PPR, I mean, he had 8 targets last week. He scored the week before. He's playing a full snap share. Now there's no Daniel Bellinger, who has become one of Daniel Jones' favorite targets. So I'll go Wan'Dale, unbiased, of course.
Yeah, I like Wan'Dale. 82% of the offensive snaps last week. So he is their wide receiver 1. So that's kind of where you're at with that team right there. Work and Grind wants to know, Sammy Watkins or Romeo Doubs in a PPR? Not my favorite question. I don't really want much against this Buffalo defense, but
gotta go Doubs.
Gotta go Doubs. I think, honestly. Yeah, I mean, you don't know what you're gonna get at Watkins here, just coming back from injury, and how quickly will he
get an injury?
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna get.
Will he be re-injured, right? So we'll see what happens to that one. All right, let's get back to our game previews here. Raiders versus Saints. Saints are getting 1.5. It's a 49.5 game total. Thomas, Landry, and Lattimore are out again for the Saints here. Josh Jacobs should be good to go. I saw the injury designation was taken off of him. He's dealing with, I think it was a foot injury throughout the week, rather, but he should be good. I mean, listen, I'm sure he's a little sore. 140, 150, and 140 rushing yards the last 3 weeks. So, a lot going on for him these last couple of weeks. Devontae Adams has been dealing with an illness, but he's expected to play. Darren Waller's questionable. Matt Collins both questionable there. For the Raiders. Saints, Andy Dalton's the starter. Waiting to figure out the tight end situation. Both Trotman and Johnson are questionable. I would like it for Trotman to be out so we can just play Johnson. I like him a lot today. Raiders are allowing the 5th most fantasy points to the tight end. Raiders are also allowing the most fantasy points to the quarterback position so far this season. So Andy Dalton, maybe a sneaky little play there. The Raiders are allowing the most receptions also to the running back position for those who like Alvin Kamara. So a lot to like on the Saints, a lot to like on the Raiders side of this game as well.
Yeah, I'm still confused at like what the Saints are doing. Like bringing Jameis back, but we're starting Andy Dalton. Like I know Dalton threw 4 touchdowns last week, and I know he threw for a whole bunch of yards, but like he also turned the ball over a lot. And they're still going to him, and Jameis is healthy. Like, my worry about, I guess, like using Dalton is if he struggles again, do they just go to Jameis? Like, what? Why wouldn't you? I don't think
so, because they kept Dalton in that game last week. He threw for like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, right? So it just doesn't seem like they have any interest in using Jameis for.
Well, it was like health. Well, wasn't it? It was. They wanted Jameis to be 100% healthy, just given all the injury history that he's had.
So if he's not,
but now he's healthy.
Yeah, but he's backing up still.
I know, but now he's healthy. Like he hadn't been healthy, right? But now that he's healthy, is that now a more likely scenario where Dalton throws 3 picks again, and then we turn to Jameis? I don't know. I'm just throwing out the possibility because Jameis still is looming. Like everyone.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible, obviously, that they would put him in. I would agree.
Because if it weren't the case, I would love this game for DFS. I would love to use Andy Dalton.
Well, you use Andy Dalton, you use it because you're expecting him not to suck. So
right. I'm just but that's my hesitation is that there could be like he does suck, and then there's a swap.
Sure.
Or he's just underwhelming, and then there's a swap.
Yeah, I guess it's possible.
It is an appealing game. Obviously, good that we see Darren Waller back at practice this week. It's been a rough go for him.
Right.
And hammies can be obviously pretty tricky, but we did get Waller back at practice this week, so it does look like he's going to play. But we saw that with Jonathan Taylor. Like for 2 straight weeks, he practiced and then he didn't play, and then he finally returned. This is a great game environment. Derek Carr, I think, is a pretty sneaky with the Jacobs, like, injury-ish nature. Maybe we do see Derek Carr air it out. I mean, this is a guy who has thrown for 4,000 yards in a season we thought was going to take the next step with Devontae Adams and Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow. Maybe this is a sneaky Derek Carr week in DFS, because this is one of the best game totals on the board.
It'll be a contrarian play for sure. James, I mentioned that the Jacksonville Jaguars were going in for a score. Not to be the case. They had 1st and goal in the 1, and Trevor Lawrence threw an interception. 1st and goal in the 1, and they did a little roll-up play action. Zay Jones was open, but he just didn't throw it over the linebacker's head. Linebacker just stuck his hands up, picked it off, and now we have Denver with the ball back. So drive ended after Jacksonville drove all the way down the field. Should have had a touchdown to Evan Ingram, but it was pass interference, so they pulled it back and wasn't able to complete the play. A couple of questions here. Record Grind wants to know Johnson's chalk after 2 touchdowns, probably. Assuming he's in and no Trotman, I think a lot of people will go there just because of the price. And then Juggernaut wants to know Wandale or Tyler Boyd for a full PPR.
It's T Boyd season.
Yeah.
It's T Boyd season.
Big time Tyler Boyd would be a wide receiver 1/1A on like every team in football except So because Higgins and like there are times where like I think a case could be made that like he's on par with those other guys too. It's just that he just plays with those other 2 guys. So and then over in our YouTube chat, Izzy wants to know Van Jefferson or Rondale Moore in a PPR.
Well, so and rest of season. So I think it's Moore for me on the first part and Jefferson for me on rest of season, because we could get Hollywood Brown at the end of the year too.
Sure.
So when Hollywood Brown returns, then Moore becomes
less and more.
Then there's literally 5 guys that can catch passes when you include Ertz and Robbie Anderson into that mix too. So
right.
I think it's Moore for me today and Van Jefferson for the rest of season.
Sure. We'll fire through a few of these. We'll get back to the game breakdowns here. Pick 2, Swift, Miles Sanders, or Eno Benjamin.
Could this be the last Miles Sanders week, John?
I don't know.
If you
believe the fake Twitter trade rumors, I mean, the number of people that sent me that tweet, I'm like, it's a fake account, guys. It doesn't unless it comes from Schefter or Rappaport or Pelissaro, I'm not believing any sort of trade rumor. Sorry.
Give me Sanders and Swift, but it's close.
No, it's
Sanders and Swift.
Yeah, that's what I call. Let's see, Deontay Johnson or Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah, Amari Cooper. I agree with you there. Yeah, again, no one Philly defense. That defense is just too good, especially off of a bye. Like they've had time to prepare. Like they'll, RIP Pickens. I think this week, or not Pickens, Pickett. Let's see, Lockett or Foreman in a flex.
A Foreman, it's tough. Tough to trust those receivers in Seattle. Both hurt. There's rain. I'll go with Donta Foreman.
Yep. And then Jacoby Myers, DK Metcalf, or Allen Robinson at a flex for Eric.
Jacoby Myers for me, but I don't know what to. How is DK Metcalf playing? How is he? There was
have you seen his body? He is.
He's
he's a Wolverine, right?
He actually has Wolverine blood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I just again, this just doesn't seem like a recipe for success. There's a patellar injury, there's rain. It just feels bad. He didn't practice this week. He got carted off and he's playing the next week. I know that he's from a different planet. This guy is I don't know how he is because he eats candy and like one meal a day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you know that? Like that's his meal? I don't know how he looks the way he looks, eating candy all day long, but I'll go.
Some of these athlete diets are I mean, CC Sabathia used to eat a box of Captain Crunch a day, right? Like, you know, like
Well, CC Sabathia, and I mean, they don't well, I mean, DK Metcalf has, you know, some more abs than CC
Sure.
Sabathia.
Yeah.
And
he's at like 11 more, right? So
yeah, only 11?
I don't know. I don't know how many abs you have. I don't know. Not a biology major here.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, let's
go Myers.
Before we get off track here,
I'm going Myers there. I'm going Myers just with the uncertainty of DK Metcalf.
All right. Dan Snyder in our chat. The real Dan? We Commanders left hand up. Right?
Left hand up. Yeah, let's go.
Wandale or Drake London, or Kyler and Tua. What do you got?
So this is the same quarterback question. We both went Tua the first time, so we'll go with Tua there. What do you think of the receiver? I'll go Wandale, because we just can't trust the Atlanta passing attack. I think it's just very hard to trust that.
He had one target last week.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like
we like the talent. Yeah, the talent is great. Right? Kyle Pitts, great. Drake London, great. They just don't throw the ball.
Coupe Fiasco in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Coop, hope you're enjoying your start of your honeymoon. You have to be, right? Like best wedding gift ever. The Evan Ingram touchdown. He should have had 2, Coop. He should have had 2. They held him in the end zone. Should have had a second touchdown there, and then Lawrence threw a pick. So RIP. They did cheat. I agree with you 100%. And then Kyler or Tua today. Do we answer that? I think we like Tua. Or I like
Tua. Tua. Yep, Tua.
All right, let's go to this next matchup here. Cardinals versus Vikings. A pretty good one today. I think we both agree. Maybe a sneaky stack game, given where a lot of people are going today. We have the Vikings giving 3.5 off of a bye, 48.5 game total. James Conner's out. Benjamin starting. Maybe Darrell Williams returns today. But this is a battle of top-tier wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins versus Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Obviously, there's you're starting Justin Jefferson everywhere. I think the DFS angle is interesting because he's not projected to be highly owned at all today, John. And we're talking about a guy we saw 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, because they were on a bye, had like 10 receptions at half.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the type of upside Justin Jefferson has. I expect a gritty today. I expect multiple gritties today, John. We haven't seen a touchdown out of Justin Jefferson in a couple weeks. So I could see a couple gritties out of Justin Jefferson today. And I know you said you were practicing your gritty. If Justin Jefferson scored, no,
I would hurt myself if I.
Oh, okay, yeah. I have a pretty good gritty. I'm not going to break it out now. But my gritty's pretty good.
You got enough room behind you. You don't want to go out there. There's a lot of space for activities behind you.
The way my bank account's set up, I have a checkings and a savings, and it's going to take at least 3 business days for me to gritty. So maybe not today.
Well, luckily for you, you're on the next 3 shows here. So 2 shows with you traveling around Europe. So we'll get you practicing for next week. We'll move that chair out of the way, and we'll get you a full on gritty going for the show. So everybody tune in next week. James Grande is going to gritty for everybody on the Game Day live stream here presented by Fantasy Farm on the Bettor Sports Network. So stay tuned. Week 9 gritty season coming up for Grande here next week. More questions in chat here. We got Irv Smith or KJ Hamler today. KJ Hamler's playing. So because the Falcons are playing.
So we'll go with Irv Smith there.
With Irv. That's the play there. Let's see, Dak or Burrow today at quarterback. Anthony wants to know over on YouTube.
We're gonna go with Joe Burr.
Yeah, you can't go away from Burrow at this point. The guy is just locked in. I think he's probably going to be on pace to rival number 1 QB or the QB1 overall, probably moving forward for the rest of the season there. So we'll see how that one breaks down. More thoughts on this game though? Anything else that you're kind of keying in on? This is a Cardinals team allowing the most fantasy points at tight end position. So the Irv Smith question there in DFS. Now, he doesn't have a ton of volume. I know that we talk a lot about Irv Smith. When it comes to this Vikings offense, it's super consolidated. It's like Thielen, it's Cook, it's Jefferson. That's where all the targets go. It's where all the touches go. Irv Smith kind of works his way in there for 3 to 4 a game. But this is the best matchup on paper this season for a tight end.
Yeah, and I don't think when we talk about Irv Smith, like the volume is nice. Like we've seen multiple games with at least 5 targets. Almost all of his games this year, he's had 4. But like he's very touchdown dependent. So like we've seen him twice score double-digit fantasy points in PPR formats. Both come with a touchdown. So I do think there is that touchdown appeal here. I think he's interesting in DFS. I do have him in a lineup on DraftKings. I am playing Kirk Cousins as kind of a contrarian play. We know Arizona's passing attack in general hasn't been great, or passing defense rather hasn't been great. I mean, they've allowed almost 1,900 yards in 17 games. That's the 6th most. A bunch of fantasy points as well, 6th most to the quarterback position. You mentioned, the tight end position they can't defend, and they also have to defend Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. So I think this is a breakout. We got Kevin O'Connell bye week, right? His first bye week as a head coach. He's the offensive guru coming over from the Rams Super Bowl run to Minnesota. What can he scheme up against, a pretty bad Arizona defense? Right. I love the Minnesota side in DFS. I love all their options in seasonal. Like I do think Irv Smith is, a potential low end tight end 1, which obviously puts us in DFS radar too. So I love the Minnesota side. I think, Arizona side might be a little more popular because they're more appropriately priced, especially on DraftKings. Like D-Hop is 7,400 compared to Justin Jefferson 91.
Yeah.
Right.
I said on the DFS podcast, this is going to be the lowest you'll probably get Hopkins again for like the rest of the season. So
rest of the year.
He'll be an 8K receiver probably by next week. So I'm with you there. We just got a field goal tacked on by Jacksonville here. It's 10-0 Jacksonville in this game. 8 minutes ago in the second quarter still. So plenty of time, but Wilson's just 2 of 5 today, passing the football. Nothing going on for this Broncos offense here today against Jacksonville in London. Final game here of this first slate. Panthers-Falcons. Falcons giving 4, 41.5 game total. A lot of ugliness on the surface here in this game. Donta Foreman, maybe and DJ Moore looking like the 2 most likely fantasy DFS plays, I guess, of this game, but there's not a lot in this one.
No, I mean, I think this is kind of a stay away. Just in general, we know the quarterbacks are not plays. I think Donta Foreman is interesting. I think, he could be viable. I mean, he looked really good last week. He had the big carry that, sprung his day. Chuba Hubbard also looked good in a spot we didn't expect. But, I think we're going to see Raheem Blackshear mix in. I think head coach Steve Wilkes mentioned that a bunch. And, last week they went with a 2-headed attack. I don't know if they do it again with Blackshear and Foreman, but it is worth noting. But DJ Moore, Foreman, as you mentioned, like, what do we do with Atlanta? Like, is Tyler Algier in play? I mean, he gets volume, John. Like, he gets volume. Like, would you consider him as a flex option? 15, 16 carries the last 2 weeks. Like, if you're desperate, I don't hate him as a flex, but like, it really doesn't get me going.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I would consider Algier if you had to as a flex play. I wouldn't use him in DFS, but I mean, if you get 16 for 60 and a score, like,
that's fine in seasonal. That's fine as a flex.
Yeah, but it's just not there for DFS. So it's nothing that I'm going to be looking too closely at. I think, again, there's not a lot in this game. I'm trying to think, like, there should be more options on the Atlanta side, right? Like, Pitts in London should be playable. How does Arthur Smith not hear the criticism? I'm sure he does. Like, how does he not react to the criticism? Like, how does he not, how do they not expand on their game plan a little bit, So my problem is I think this game's going to be a little bit more competitive, and he's not going to have to do any of that, right? So he's not going to be forced into a spot where they have to play from behind again, or where it's so out of hand that they can't run the football or run these RPOs. So definitely a little bit frustrating. Would you play any defense in this game? Carolina's defense the last 2 weeks have beaten the Rams and they've beaten the Buccaneers.
Yeah. I mean, they were popular.
Would you consider them, honestly?
I mean, Carolina's defense isn't bad. Like,
Right.
they have very good players. They have like the hottest commodity on the trade market in Brian Burns, and they're just like, nah, we're not trading this dude. He's like our franchise player. So I think Carolina's defense is actually good. So yeah, I would consider them, especially if they're, I mean, if they can stop the run and Mariota only throws 13 times again, like, sure, they can hold them to a single-digit point total.
Yep, I think that's possible there as well. So again, I think that out there is sort of a probably a low roster defense today in DFS is going with the Carolina Panthers. Most think they're a bad team. They're not a great team, but defensively they're fine. And Atlanta's offense, as we've seen, hasn't done much. But Atlanta could have some help coming. Cordell Patterson is expected to be off the IR next week, so a little bit of a jolt to that team there. Guys, if you want to get your questions answered, you got to get in our chat. You can kind of cut the line from YouTube and Discord. Go to the Bettor Sports Network app on your iTunes or Google Play Store. Download it, sign up. It's free. And click join the show, and you have the opportunity to hit that call button, come in the show with us, get live, have your questions answered live, talk to James and I, or you can just put your question in the chat room there, and James and I will answer it as well. And stick with the Bettor Sports Network all day long. We have the Front Yard Fantasy Show coming up next from 11 to 1. Then we have Bettor Zone from 1 to 5, and continued with the Bettor Sports Network there throughout the rest of the day. But James, we have a Nick Durst live at MetLife Stadium. Jets, Patriots there today. He's talking to the fans. He's seeing what they're cooking. He's getting their fantasy takes here. Let's go take a look at what Nick is doing out at MetLife. And when we get back, we'll continue answering everybody's questions and breaking down these games. This is the Game Day Playbook presented by Fantasy Alarm here on the Bettor Sports Network.
Nick Durst here for Bettor Sports Network, live from MetLife Stadium. Big game this afternoon between the New York Jets and the New England Patriots, and I'm here with some really big Patriots fans. Guys, as you know, the Patriots have not lost to the Jets here at MetLife Stadium since 2015. Will that trend continue today?
Absolutely. Patriots are 3-4 right now. We need to save the season. No better team to do it against than the Jets.
That usually is true, but so far this season, the Jets have been playing pretty well. So any hesitation for you guys as far as deciding to come to this game today?
Absolutely not. No hesitation. No hesitation at all. Got to come out, got to beat the Jets, get back on track, and get our season going.
All right, so right now we're outside. We're at a tailgate. It's about 9:30 a.m., and the fellas here, they're already drinking their alcoholic beverages. They got their Bud Lights. Cheers, guys. What is your favorite part about attending a tailgate before an NFL game?
I mean, it's got to be the beer. It's got to be the beer. The food's the second best thing, but it's got to be the beer. Getting all lubed up before the game, going in, rooting on the Patriots.
All right, and what is your go-to food at a tailgate?
It's got to be a burger. Got to be a cheeseburger with bacon, and then you got to have the beer with it.
All right, so the two of you guys, I could tell you're from New England. So would you guys consider yourself massholes?
Oh, absolutely. 100% a proud masshole.
Absolutely. Proud to be one.
All right, so what is your go-to Dunkin' Donuts order?
Okay, so right now I got to get the pumpkin, but typically I just get a large iced coffee regular, extra cream, extra sugar.
It's always a large ice, caramel swirl, regular cream, regular sugar.
All right, so today's game, both of you guys obviously think the Patriots are going to win. So what are your predictions for the rest of the season for the Patriots?
Going to win today. Going to fight all the way through, make the playoffs. I see us, 10-7, making the playoffs. Jets are going to fall off. This is the end of their season today. They're going to lose today. They're going to lose to the Bills next week. Jets will end up, 7-10 this year.
All right, and the big question is quarterback. Should it be Mac Jones, or should the Patriots stick with Bailey Zappi?
It's got to be Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi has looked good his few games, but Mac Jones was the first round, 15th pick of the 2021 draft for a reason. It's got to be Mac Jones.
All right, so the return of the Mac going to lead the Patriots to the playoffs.
You've got to take the Patriots into the playoffs this year. Jets had a good start to the season, but this is it. Season ends today for the Jets.
All right, if you had to go in the locker room, if Belichick said, guys, I want you guys to come in, give a little bit of a motivational speech.
Not a great motivation.
What would you say?
Don't worry about the past games. Don't worry about what's gone on so far. Let's start off here. Let's start new. Let's get on track with the Jets and keep going forward.
You agree?
Don't lose. It's the Jets. You're not going to lose. Don't lose. It's easier. Now, if you win this game and get back to New England, let's go.
All right, there you have it. Some really pumped up, excited, and very optimistic Patriots fans. This
Yes, go Pats.
This has been Nick Durst for Bettor Sports Network from MetLife Stadium.
Welcome back into the Game Day Playbook presented by Samsung here on the Bettor Sports Network. Nick Durst live at MetLife talking to a couple of Patriots fans. I can't disagree with anything they said there, from their Dunkin' Donuts coffee orders, from loving a good burger. All of that, I think, makes a lot of sense to me. I'm personally, James, my coffee order, I go medium mocha iced coffee with extra milk. That's kind of the way I roll with it. Caramel swirl's fine. I'm a big French vanilla iced coffee guy as well. And I love a cheeseburger. So not gonna hate on anything they just said there.
I mean, yeah. First off, the Dunkin' orders were just. I'm beside myself there. We don't swap. You get the French. I'm also a French vanilla guy. I don't care what season it is. There's no pumpkin season. It's French vanilla swirl season, 24/7, year round. Also, have to go large coffee. No medium doesn't do anything. You need that extra boost going large in the morning. And then the burger thing. I too love a good cheeseburger. But if you're going to a tailgate, you're breaking the football out nice and early in the morning, having a nice catch. You're already spending a ton of money going to this. I can eat a burger. I can just go put a burger on my grill. I can go put a burger on my stove. I can do plenty of things with the burger. Get some nice steak that we're there at 9:30 in the morning, right? Yeah. We have plenty of day to marinate a steak, some ribs. A lot of different routes we could have gone. I too like a good burger, but as the number one tailgate food, I think they just haven't been to good enough tailgates.
I'm definitely a big steak tip guy when we're at the tailgate for sure. I think eating a full on steak, I think that's maybe a little bit too hard to do when you're at a tailgate. But give me a nice tin tray of steak tips on the grill there and let that cook up. You can get all your sides going on as well. Finally, have a Broncos score here, James. We have a little bit of a shuffle pass thing going on here. I don't know if it's going to count as a rushing touchdown to Judy or a passing touchdown to Judy, but Broncos finally on the board to our man Jerry Judy there. So we'll see if they can get things going. 2 minutes and 40 seconds still to go in the second quarter before we go into halftime. James, let's run through some of these game previews here. Let's answer some more of these questions before we head out. And then just because James and I are leaving doesn't mean you guys have to go anywhere. You stick with the Bettor Sports Network all day long. Coming up next after us, we have the Front Yard Fantasy Show with Simon, Joey, and JL from 11 to 1. And then we have the Bettor Zone from 1 to 5. And stick with the Bettor Sports Network after that throughout the rest of the day through Sunday Night Football there as well. So a lot are going on here. No reason to leave the network. So let's get to some of these questions quickly, and we'll keep going to it. We have Terry McLaurin or Michael Pittman today for full PPR.
Give me T1.
Yeah, probably going to go there. I have a hard time going with Pittman.
It's hard.
I think in that matchup there for sure. Let's see. Any other questions I missed in chat? I don't see any. So let's go back to our game previews here. Steelers, Eagles. Eagles are giving 10.5, 42.5 game total.
This game is going to be bad.
Bad for the Steelers. I think
bad for the Steelers. Yeah, the Eagles will enjoy, being 7-0. What Kenny Pickens has looked good at times, but the turnovers have been a problem. Philly's defense is just full of ball hawks everywhere. They made a million trades to shore up that secondary.
They just got Quinn, didn't they?
They just got Robert Quinn. Their defense is very good, and Quinn's going to play this week.
Yeah.
They are, and it's just not going to be great for Kenny Pickett. And as you mentioned, Philly's running attack has looked good. They've looked great through the air. These are points that I'm taking, 10.5.
Because the Steelers might not score today.
They might. If they don't have Boswell, they might not actually score today, right? He's the only.
The Eagles defense might cover this spread by themselves, 2 pick sixes or something, right? It's very possible here. Everybody in Philly is in play. Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts. Play all of them. That's no reason not to.
Are you playing any? But are you bench in places you have Najee, right? Are you playing him? Again, I think he's. Where are we ranking Najee Harris this week?
He's outside my top 24.
I think he's probably cusp RB3, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not a comfortable play. This Philly front is nasty. They only got better with Robert Quinn. And then the receivers one's probably going to be traded.
I like Pickett, but like, I just don't know. It's more so because I think maybe he has like one ridiculous downfield catch, and maybe in a full PPR that turns into like 7 fantasy points for you by the end of the day. But like, yeah, I'm very, very bullish here on the Eagles. Not so much bearish on the Steelers for this game. So
Is Muth the best play of the Steelers offense? Like, is he maybe the safety
sort of
blanket?
Find the soft spot and like turn around quickly. It's possible. Or Deontay, because Pickett's got to get the ball out so quick that like he's just kind of in on the slants. But such a good secondary, such a good defense. Happy that I took the Eagles in like every aspect of their team this year. I have their defense in all my leagues, basically. I have Jalen Hurts in pretty much all of my leagues this year. So feeling pretty good about that as well. Plus, as you know, James, in the league that you and I are in together, I just keep on getting all of the good breaks. So
it is just unbelievable.
Everything coming up, John, in that league. So I'm happy to hear it. Texans getting 2.5, 40.5 game total here. Nico Collins is out. Brandon Cooks questionable, expected to play. We'll see what happens there because he is on the trade block. Derrick Henry is your top play overall today, as we mentioned. Over 200 yards rushing in each of the last 3 games against the Houston Texans. Philip Dorsett's going to be your DraftKings and FanDuel sort of punt play. More so on DraftKings. He's 3,200 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's actually like I think he's like 5,800. So he's not even as cheap as some of the other wide receivers over there. But on DraftKings, for sure, I think you're playing Dorsett.
Yeah, you love to see the snap share of him and Chris Moore last week. I think they both, took a step in the right direction. And Tennessee's defense is not good. We're going to see a lot of Derrick Henry offensively, and I think everyone expects the Titans to win this game, but it's not like their defense is doing much. I mean, they had one good game this year against Carson Wentz, who is very turnover prone. I do think Philip Dorsett is interesting with Nico Collins out. I too am playing him at 3,200. Let's just hope that it's not Chris Moore taking all the because Chris Moore is the one who got into the end zone last week, and Chris Moore has been.
Oh, Dorsett scored too, didn't he?
I do not think he scored. Oh yeah, he did. He did score last week. They both scored. Sorry.
Yeah.
But regardless, Moore has been more involved. No pun intended. Has been more involved in the offense this year. But with Nico Collins out, Dorsett on the outside, I do like that play on DraftKings 3,200.
Yep, I think that's fine there as well. Would you go Pierce today?
I mean, you were talking about the Michael Strackton thing. Like maybe they're. Oh, you're talking Dameon Pierce. Sorry,
Dameon Pierce.
Just jumped the gun.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Dameon Pierce is a weekly start in seasonal. At this point, like the volume is there. The last time we didn't see him get 20 carries, he had 6 receptions, so he's contributing in the passing game as well. I think it's kind of we're at that point where, regardless of matchup and situation, Dameon Pierce is a must start. And in DFS, just given his price, right, 6,300. You look at the landscape of DraftKings, everyone's playing Tony Pollard for $200 cheaper, 6,100. People are going to play Eno Benjamin 6,000. Everyone else is going to play Raheem Mostert 5,900. So I think Dameon Pierce is vastly underowned today. And again, he's giving you RB1 workload every single week. So yeah, I would go Pierce as a contrarian play. They compared him to a mule, in terms of speed coming into the year. We've seen him break for a 75-yard score this year.
Right.
He has 20 plus runs in almost every game this year. So I think Dameon Pierce is a very interesting tournament play, a very interesting contrarian play, because all those guys are going to be a lot higher owned than him in Tony Pollard and Eno Benjamin and Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
And Pierce is the only one of that group that consistently has had the workload. I do like Pierce in DFS and obviously love him and starting him everywhere in seasonal.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. Big Bun in chat wants to know any underdog pick'ems. I have a slight lean. I want to get your thoughts on this here, James.
Okay.
DeAndre Swift, whenever he comes back from injury, they never fully just give him the full workload. Like he comes back, they still give him a bit of a split share here. But with him being active, the rushing prop for Jamal Williams has actually been cut in half. If you're over on Underdog, Jamal Williams just 35.5 yards rushing. The only game where he went under was week 1 when we knew Swift was 100% healthy, not coming off of an injury. Every other week, Jamal Williams has gone over. Now, I understand that a lot of those weeks was with Swift out, but there were games where Swift came back. He eventually got re-injured there, but they limited Swift's touches. I kind of have a little bit of an interest on Williams over the 35.5 yards rushing today because I don't think they're just going to give DeAndre Swift this full workload. They're going to ease him in. He's so injury prone that I just don't see them going to him as often. So if we're in a timeshare here, I think Williams can get 35.5 yards today.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned injury. It's injuries. Like he's he's nursing the shoulder and the ankle, like, or returning from the shoulder and ankle, I should say. So, yeah, I mean, even when he was healthy, Jamal Williams, 33% snap share week 1, 34% snap share week 2. And the game that Swift got hurt was the Minnesota game, but 45% for Williams. He's just part of the offense. Like they're going to split carries. What makes DeAndre Swift great is that he doesn't need the full workload to be explosive. Even if he is explosive today, Jamal Williams is still going to get plenty of work, and he's going to get full series as well, where Swift is just not on the field. So I kind of like that, John. I do like that. What is it, 33.5 you said?
35.5 yards rushing.
I like it.
He hasn't had, even when Swift was healthy in those weeks, 11, 12 carries in both of those games, right? So he's getting double-digit carries regardless. You know, I think that they're going to be taking it a little bit easy on Swift initially, especially running the football. Maybe they use him more in the passing game out of the gate, but I think that number is just a little bit too low for Williams, and it's an overreaction to Swift being back this week. So that's an underdog prop that I'm taking a little bit of a look at there today. So if you're looking for one, you can go there. I also think maybe Waddle over 5.5 receptions could be a spot to take a peek at.
D-Hop, 77.5 yards, John.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that game, 50 over under, high scoring affair.
14 targets week 1. His
14 targets, 100 yards week 1. Why? And this is like, this correlates perfectly with like, why is he 7,400 on DraftKings? Like 70, we're never going to see DeAndre Hopkins 77. Like every yard prop from here on out is 80 to 90 plus moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Justin Jefferson is 93.5. So, Hopkins is going to be right up there. Derrick Henry's at 107.5 yards rushing. We mentioned he's gone over 100 yards rushing now in 3 straight games. One of them was like 102, so he's only gone over in 2 of the last 3 of 107. But in 3 games, his last 3 games against Houston, 200 yards rushing each game. So he's doubling up that total in the last 3 times he's faced Houston. 107.5, James. Would you go over or under that?
I mean, we have said
we're expecting him to go over.
Hey, he's going to dominate. So, like, it's hard to argue that he's going to. You know what I think could be even could be right there on par with that, John? The 22.5 rushing attempts, especially like he's gone 28 and 30 the last 2 weeks, and that's with Ryan Tannehill under center. Now we're getting Malik Willis. Like all expectation is it's all Derrick Henry all the time. They're going to stick with the run, even if it doesn't work out in the beginning of this game. I mean, who's to say Derrick Henry doesn't get another 30 carry game? So I think right along with it, if you're not comfortable going 107.5 yards, 22.5 rushing attempts kind of seems like money in the bank, considering what he's done the last couple of weeks and considering who's playing quarterback for him this week.
Donta Foreman, 67.5 yards rushing against Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Raheem Blackshear isn't actually going to get like Chuba Hubbard workload, that should be easy to hit.
Yep, I'm with you there. So those are some props that we're taking a look at for today. Let's get back to some of these game previews. We're going to wrap it up quick here. We have Giants, Seahawks giving 3. Metcalf and Lockett both expected to play today. So that's kind of some interesting news there. We talked about Kadarius Toney being traded for the Giants. So Wandale, Slayton, kind of the top guys there for the Giants. You mentioned the weather's bad, though. Is this just a straight-up Saquon Barkley day then?
I mean, it's a Saquon Barkley day every day, right? Every day of the week is Saquon Barkley day. But I do think we're going to see a heavy workload out of Saquon once again, and there's no reason to go away from that. I mean, 29 touches did the job last week for the Giants. That game shouldn't even come down to the play it did because Saquon went out of bounds. But yeah, I mean, it is going to be he is torching good defense. He is torching bad defenses. Obviously, now the one thing to consider is Daniel Jones could poach touchdown from Saquon because of how good he's been on the ground. But yeah, I mean, 8,100, I'm perfectly fine with Saquon. I think it's going to be a heavy dosage. Like the rain doesn't look terrible, but it's still raining. And Daniel Jones has in the past had problems holding on to the football. Like that's been his MO. He fumbled a million times last year, turned the ball over a lot. So to avoid that, the Giants have really been putting him in good positions to begin with. It's going to be a lot of Daniel Jones rushing, a lot of Saquon Barkley rushing. I think that's going to be a lot of the Giants. And when it's not, it's short intermediate passes to Wan'Dale Robinson and with the occasional shot to Darius Slayton. That's the Giants' offense.
Is there a tight end that you're playing today for the Giants? Hudson Miriak, I think his name is, something like that.
Yeah, Merrick came in last week and had like 2 nice catches. Tanner Hudson was the guy playing all the snaps earlier in the year. He was playing more than Daniel Bellinger, and he was running routes, but he just wasn't getting looks. I don't think so. I know it's like a great spot for tight ends, but like you have to be super desperate, like in DFS, to play one of these guys. And I know Bellinger was a guy that they were using in the red zone a lot. Like he had a touchdown in back-to-back weeks. He had 3 touchdowns on the year. And, that's the tight end is a big position for the Giants offense, but like so hard to trust. Like obviously you're trusting Hudson, I think, more than Merrick because he was running routes earlier in the year, like a lot of routes. He was running more routes than Daniel Bellinger. So from that aspect, like whatever, it's 2,500, maybe take a dart. No shot on playing either of them in seasonal though.
Sure.
But I have some interest in the Seattle tight ends, I think, because we just don't know what we're going to get from DK Metcalf.
We also don't know what tight end in Seattle is going to do it.
That's true. I mean, it's hard to like assess the position on a week-to-week basis, but like the injury bug has bit them at the wide receiver position, and they might just need to run a lot more 2 receivers or 2 tight end sets. And you know what? Will Dissly's been pretty consistent. 4 weeks of more than 8 fantasy points in PPR. So maybe a Dissly play on DraftKings at 3,200 isn't the worst. Just considering, again, we don't know if there's going to be a re-aggravation of Metcalf for the patellar. We don't know. Tyler Lockett didn't look great. Couldn't really stretch the field last week with the injury. He's dealing with multiple injuries now. Right. So in the rain, like Geno Smith safety blanket, could be looking at Dissly, could be looking at Noah Fant.
Okay. And then we have 49ers, Rams. Rams are getting a point. It's 41.5 game total here. We've talked about the history. 49ers have just dominated this matchup. What are your thoughts on here? Deebo Samuel ruled out. Maybe CMC gets a little bit more involved this week. Who do you think fills in for Deebo when it comes to the receivers there for the 49ers?
I mean, we don't even know if, Juwan Jennings is going to play.
Right.
Because he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday.
Like Ray McLeod, do you think? Like who?
It could be. Yeah, it could be Ray McLeod. I think, if I'm correct, they signed Willie Snead off the practice squad too.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to play, but I guess it's something to monitor. We'll see. I mean, look, Brandon Ayuk has been really good these last couple weeks. And I don't think a lot of people are going to play him, John. 6,100 falls into that category, like, especially on DraftKings if you're playing, like, if Brandon Ayuk is a flex play. There's Tony Pollard. There's all the running backs we mentioned that are going to garner a lot of ownership.
Yeah.
If there's no Deebo Samuel, like, we're going to see Brandon Ayuk get a lot of targets. He's had 22 targets the last 2 weeks. And I think it's worth mentioning, like, I think the public has not liked what they've seen out of Jalen Ramsey a lot this year. He's not following receivers. He's kind of just staying in the slot. San Francisco, I expect to move Brandon Ayuk all over the field like they do really every week. And he's looked really good. He has multiple touchdown upside as well. So I don't know if we need to like get like Darty and like, especially in DFS, and play any of these guys. Maybe Juwan Jennings, if he does suit up, is an option. But I do think CMC is going to have a bigger role. I mean, we have to love what George Kittle's done over the last couple of weeks. He's obviously been like a focal point of their offense. And then I think Brandon Ayuk is a really, really interesting tournament play.
Yeah.
Just given the volume that he's gotten with a healthy Debo.
People are afraid of the Rams defense for one reason or another. But like you mentioned, that offense now in San Francisco is quite interesting.
I mean, what have the Rams like? Yes, the Rams have been fine defensively. It's been obviously the offense they can't move the ball. But they can't move the ball. They're going to punt more, and we're going to get more opportunities for the San Francisco offense. So, in a contrarian setting, I do think Brandon Ayuk is interesting. I do think George Kittle could be interesting. We need Garoppolo to play a little bit better there.
Sure.
And the Rams offense, man, like
Garoppolo's been better fantasy-wise the last 3 weeks, 18 or more fantasy points, 3 straight.
Sure, has been better, but it's been like outside of the Carolina game, like they've needed him to be better against Atlanta because they were trailing, and then they needed him to throw more versus Kansas City because they were trailing.
Sure.
I don't know, like what is your sense on this game flow? Like, do you think the Rams are?
My hope is that the Rams, or my thoughts are the Rams are coming out of a bye against a team that they should know very well, and my hope is that they've planned a little bit better to be successful in this match, as I'm sure Al in our chat would love, being such a big Rams fan that he is. That they should have a better game plan going into this one. Hopefully, because if not, you've had a whole week to prepare for basically your biggest rival in your division. If you can't get anything going, I mean, that's a tough look.
And getting Van Jefferson back too. Probably
and getting Van Jefferson back too is going to have a quote unquote normal workload.
Normal workload for Van Jefferson.
I haven't seen the man play this year, so I don't know where normal workload is. His normal workload's been on the bench.
So breaking news:
Yeah.
Van Jefferson not playing today.
Right. Wait, really?
Just kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm just saying you
can't just throw breaking news out here, James.
That joke. Well, we were talking about Van Jefferson, so I figured, you said he hadn't played. So no, I mean, look, if we're comparing it to last year, Van Jefferson's going to be heavily involved, and he is the guy that can, he stretches the field for the Rams. So,
I agree.
Going to be an interesting game here. I think anything like on the Ram side interests you in DFS at all?
Ram side, not particularly. We do have a Henderson question from Ryan Mahoney over on YouTube. Deontay Johnson, Darrell Henderson, PPR.
Probably Henderson. I think the touchdown equity is just better there. Like Deontay Johnson just can't find the end zone.
I agree. Brandon Romero wants to know if Cooks or Eno Benjamin half PPR.
Eno Benjamin.
And Friday Luther Knox, final question. Move, that's right. Stick with the Bettor Sports Network, guys. Front Guard Fantasy coming up next. 11-1 Bettor Zone for 1 to 5. No reason to leave the channel today. Game Day Playbook presented by Fantasy Alarm here, Week 8. Good luck. James and I will be back next week. We'll have you more information, game breakdowns. Good luck, everybody. We'll catch you later.